The newest episode of The Blacklist gained a lot of momentum for the show, and it really was the best episode of The Blacklist in a long time. I really love the architect, and probably the main reason is because the Blacklister was so cool in this episode, and I really loved Haram. And Haram's been one of the sort of shining members and shining qualities of the Blacklist this season. We've seen Haram go through sort of different storylines as far as his girlfriend, betraying him for, we've seen him step up and be more of a member of the team at the FBI, and I really love seeing Haram grow as a character and his character arc, and that arc continues in this episode. The episode opens in a very vague way, which is something that we haven't had in the Blacklist in a while. The Blacklist has been pretty straightforward, but basically this prisoner gets escape plans in a Bible, and a weapons truck is robbed. Now, we don't have any idea of how these things are going to be connected until later in the episode, and I think that's part of the most interesting, that probably is one of the most interesting parts of this episode, but this episode ends with that, and is very entertaining to see. It then cuts to Raymond interrogating Isabella Stone, who we had seen in the previous episode, and basically Cooper is mad at Raymond because Raymond has been, of course, trying to get these people to save his own skin, hasn't really been giving good blacklisters, I guess you could say, to Cooper for a while, so Cooper's sort of on his back. And so Raymond gives Cooper the name of this new blacklister, whose name is the Architect. So Haram realizes that the Architect is trying to find hackers to help him out with his plan, which we don't know yet, of course. And so Haram goes undercover to this hacking tournament, and he recognizes his old girlfriend there, which is very interesting because, as I said, that was one of the most interesting plot lines or minor arcs of the season. And her name's Elsie, but basically we see her there again hacking, and Haram basically freaks out a little bit, but he beats her in a hacking contest, and it looks like he's sort of, gained a reputation. Maybe he'll be able to infiltrate this little tournament that's going on. But right as that happens, the Architect bursts in and demands that all these hackers start working for him. Haram and Elsie are able to escape and sort of elude his capture for a while. But in the meantime, the Architect makes all these hackers basically shut down a power grid in Virginia so that this correctional facility doesn't have power. Haram is eventually captured, even though he eludes capture a little bit with his ex-girlfriend, who is now, free and working for the U.S. government. Haram is captured by the Architect, and he leaves with him. But not before Haram's able to pick up his girlfriend's glasses, which will come into play later. But the FBI arrives afterwards, and eventually we get to see Haram. He basically, where the Architect's taking him is this correctional facility that we saw at the beginning of the episode, and basically the Architect wanted this explosive weapon so that he could start blowing up prison towers and threatening the prison guards if they didn't let this prisoner out, that he would continue to blow up the prison. Who, and obviously the prison had to comply, and so they let this guy leave. But Haram, in the meantime, before he hacks into the mainframe of the prison, he's able to use those glasses that are actually a USB hacker chip and plug it into his laptop, and basically this allows the FBI to find him, which is very entertaining. So Haram, of course, the FBI finds him. The Architect's trying to flee. He uses the rocket launcher to blow up this Architect guy in a very awesome scene, and Haram just seems really BA at the end of the episode, frankly. But he's able to take out the Architect, blow him up, and save lives in the meantime. Red sort of has this plot on the other side of the episode that's very entertaining in and of itself. Red figures out that his business is being attacked on the inside because basically he goes to this banker guy who's the head of his bank, and he says, okay, who's the guy who's attacking me? Track this card, track this number. And basically he threatens to kill this banker's artist who's painting a self-portrait, this famous artist, if he doesn't comply. So eventually he complies, and Red figures out that his sort of operations are on attack from somebody in the inside, which is amazing because I believe it'll be Mr. Kaplan. That's my prediction, but So Red basically spends the whole episode trying to get this guy to divulge this information, and eventually he's able to do it. So this episode was phenomenal. I really loved the Architect. He was just a cool Blacklister in general, and I love seeing Aram sort of thrust into the position that normally Elizabeth or Donald are put into, this undercover position. And I love the action in this episode, and I love that it was fast-paced, it was entertaining, and I loved Red's storyline as well as the Blacklister storyline. But I just want to give props to the guy who played the Architect, because he just killed it in his role. I really loved the Architect in this episode. He was probably the coolest Blacklister we've had in a long time. So overall, I really loved the Architect. It was a wonderfully put together episode of the Blacklist. There was plenty of action. There was plenty of undercover work by Aram that was entertaining. It was very entertaining. So in the end, I'd have to give the Blacklist Season 4, Episode 14, The Architect, Blacklister number 107, a 9.0 out of 10. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you think it was better than all the previous episodes in this latter half of the season? Comment below. Remember to like and subscribe for more Blacklist content. This has been Jonesy from Jones TV signing off.